Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Baking a cake may seem simple, but there are some easy to make mistakes that can completely change your results. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 12 common mistakes people make when baking a cake, and more importantly, how you can fix them to get perfect cakes every time. Whether you are a beginner or just looking to improve, these tips will help you avoid those frustrating baking fails. So let's get started. One common mistake is overmixing your cake batter. Overmixing develops too much gluten, leading to a dense and tough cake instead of a light and fluffy one. To avoid this, mix your ingredients until just combined. Stop as soon as there are no more visible streaks of flour. Using cold ingredients is also a very common mistake while baking. Cold ingredients are no-go in baking. They prevent proper emulsification, which leads to uneven texture and poor rise. To fix this, always let your butter, eggs and milk sit at room temperature for at least 30 minutes before baking. Another frequent mistake is not measuring ingredients correctly. Baking is a science, so even a small measurement error can throw off your recipe, leading to a dry or dense cake. For accuracy, use a kitchen scale, especially when measuring dry ingredients like flour. If using cups, spoon the flour into the cup and level it off the precision. A lot of people make this mistake, opening the oven door too frequently while the cake is baking. Each time you open the door, you let out heat, which can cause your cake to collapse or bake unevenly. Try not to open the oven door during the first half of the bake. If you need to check, do so toward the end of the baking time to see if the cake is done. Not preparing your baking pan correctly can lead to one of the most frustrating baking issues: your cake sticking to the pan. Always grease your pan well with butter or spray, dust it lightly with flour, and if possible, line the bottom with parchment paper. This will ensure your cake releases cleanly. A mistake that's easy to overlook is baking at the wrong temperature. If your oven is too hot or too cold, it can affect how your cake bakes. Get yourself an oven thermometer to make sure your oven is set to the correct temperature. Don't rely solely on your oven's built-in display. Another mistake is frosting your cake before it's completely cooled. If the cake is still warm, the frosting can melt and slide off, ruining your presentation. Let your cake cool completely before frosting, and if needed, chill it in the fridge to ensure it's firm. Pulling the cake out of the oven too early is a common mistake. Check for doneness by inserting a toothpick into the middle of the cake. If it comes out clean or with a few crumbs, your cake is ready. If it is still wet, bake for a few more minutes. Baking with expired ingredients like baking powder or baking soda is a sneaky mistake that often goes unnoticed. Expired leavening agents won't give your cake the rise it needs, resulting in a flat or dense cake. Always check the expiration date on your baking powder and soda before using them. You can test them by adding a bit to warm water. If it bubbles, it's still good. Another easy to make mistake is not storing your cake properly, which can lead to dryness. If you are not serving the cake right away, wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and store it in an airtight container. Avoid refrigerating it unless absolutely necessary, as refrigeration can dry it out. Skipping the sifting step when working with dry ingredients is a common mistake. This can result in lumps in your batter, leading to uneven texture in your cake. Sift your flour, cocoa powder, and other dry ingredients before adding them to your batter. This ensures your cake is light and smooth. A common but often forgotten mistake is not preheating the oven. Baking a cake in a cold oven can cause uneven baking and prevent the cake from rising properly. Always preheat your oven to the correct temperature before putting your cake in. This ensures the cake bakes evenly and rises as it should. And there you have it, 12 common mistakes people make when baking cakes and simple solutions to avoid them. Let's quickly recap what we've learned. We covered the importance of not overmixing your batter and making sure your ingredients are at room temperature. We talked about how accurate measurements, preheating your oven, and proper pan preparation are key to a successful bake. We also looked at the risks of opening the oven door too soon and frosting the cake before it has cooled. Remember to check your cake is done by using the toothpick test and always use fresh baking powder or soda for the best rise. Storing your cake properly and not skipping the sifting step will also make a big difference in texture. Don't forget to always preheat your oven to the correct temperature before even baking. Baking is a balance of precision and patience, and by avoiding these mistakes, you are sure to get better results every time. With a little patience and attention to detail, you'll be able to create cakes that are light, fluffy, and perfectly baked. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope these tips help you improve your baking and make your cake baking experience more enjoyable. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you've had any baking mishaps of your own, feel free to share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Happy baking!